Hey, this is Danny from Scare Talk. Before we get into all the horror greatness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the host site that we use to record our podcast. Anchor will upload your podcast to Apple and Spotify and many other listening platforms. Anchor is completely free, and you can download the app or go to the website, anchor.fm, and you can record straight on there. There's also some cool editing tools that you can use. Did I mention that it's free? Yeah, so if you want to make a podcast, Anchor is the way to go. Go check it out. Now, for the spooky stuff.
Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror fans. This podcast will cover horror movie reviews, ratings, and rankings. Now for your hosts, Danny and Joel.
Yeah, it's Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I am here with the silent but deadly Joel.
Hey guys, what's up?
And in case you didn't notice, today we're going to talk about the 1984 film Silent Night, Deadly Night. Since it is the Christmas season, we thought we'd get to some Christmas horror movies, which there's some pretty good ones out there. So got to get in the holiday spirit and see some people get killed, and especially a killer Santa. That's awesome.
Yes.
Who's in
All
this?
right, this one stars Lillian Chauvin. She's Mother Superior.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
Mother Superior.
Mother Superior. Just above everybody else. She was in Predator 2, Universal Soldier, Catch Me If You Can.
Oh.
And she's also, for those Friends aficionados, she is Joey Tribbiani's grandmother in one of the earlier episodes. She's way older. But,
yeah. When she's she can't speak English, right? And he's trying to show her Law and Order. He's in Law and
I
Order.
think so. I think that's yeah. Robert Brian Wilson, he plays Billy. It actually says Billy at 18. Age 18, because there's like 3 different Billys in this movie.
Yeah, there is.
And he was in Gunsmoke, The Last Apache TV movie.
That was a TV show, too.
Well, this was a TV movie. Yes,
Yeah.
I know. This was a TV movie.
From that show.
I think it was. The Wrong Roommate, which is another TV movie. Ooh. And A Husband for Christmas, another TV movie.
There's always Christmas, like, Hallmark, Lifetime.
In these, like, horror movies. Yeah,
they're always thrown in there.
Usually, like, the writers, but yeah. This was actually his first movie he ever did.
Okay.
So. And then we've got Gilmer McCormick. She is Sister Margaret.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Her name's Gilmer. It's kind of a...
Gilmer.
Yeah.
Are you sure you're saying that right?
I am, yes. There's really not a whole other ways of saying this particular name.
Okay.
She was in The Slaughterhouse-5, which was a book. Godspell. And a movie called Starting Over with Burt Reynolds.
Oh, all right.
And this was written by Paul Kamey. That one I don't know if I'm saying right. So sorry. He wrote a book called Sleigh Ride, which this is based off of.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sleigh Ride.
Sleigh Ride. It's kind of a cool
much
name, too.
Better title than this.
Yeah, it is. And he didn't write anything else. And also Michael Hickey, who also didn't write anything else. So this was kind of a... I don't know if you can say... I think this was just based on the book that he wrote. So I don't know if he actually wrote this...
The screenplay?
He did the story, but...
Yeah.
So Michael Hickey is the writer of this one, and he didn't do anything else. And this was directed by Charles E. Sellier Jr. He did Encounter with Disaster, which was a documentary, a movie called Snowballing, and The Annihilators. all around the time of this movie. So nothing really after this that any of these people really did.
So just 80s
Yeah,
pretty much.
just 80s.
All right, so this one is about little Billy. He witnesses his parents getting killed by Santa
By the Santa.
after being warned by his senile grandpa that Santa punishes those who are naughty. Now Billy is 18 and out of the orphanage, and he has just become Santa himself.
Man.
I just saw this. It's an hour and 19 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt like it was a regular length film, but it's a little shorter than normal.
It didn't feel... I mean, it's only like 11 minutes shorter.
Yeah.
But you also have to factor in, like, the end credits and stuff, too.
Yeah.
So it's probably a couple minutes shorter than that.
Yeah.
But that's still, like, it didn't feel...
Kind of short, but...
It didn't feel like it was that short. Not in a bad way. It was
Right.
it just felt like a regular length movie.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. Good to know.
All right, so... we already kind of talked about the title, but what do you think about the title?
Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's... I like Sleigh Ride more.
Yeah.
I wish it was the same title as that.
Yeah. Or
I
remember Santa's Sleigh
Santa's Sleigh, yeah.
with Goldberg.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that one. I don't mind the title. I think it's kind of it's a play on Silent Night, Holy Night, like Silent Night, Deadly Night. Like
Yeah.
it's a play on the Christmas song, which I kind of can appreciate.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to come up with titles for movies.
Yeah.
So I was kind of an original thought, at least. I kind of like that, but it would have been better as Sleigh Ride.
Yeah. I wonder if they weren't like allowed to use the name Sleigh Ride,
I don't know.
or if they just didn't like it for some
They were like,
reason.
no, this one's better. We're gonna come.
Because
We're gonna take your story, but your title sucks.
Yeah, because I've heard of this movie, and I've over the last few years I've seen people post about it in like horror groups and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, it sounds kind of lame, like just the title sounds kind of lame.
Yeah.
And but since we're doing this podcast,
You're like, why not?
Yeah, it's something that I keep seeing, so
Yeah.
it must mean something, Must be an okay movie. So.
Yeah.
But let's see if it's okay. What did you think? What'd you like?
I like the premise of the movie. This little boy, sees his parents get murdered by Santa, by quote unquote Santa.
Yeah, it's
Just this
like,
guy in a Santa suit.
Yeah,
But to him, he's Santa.
Yeah.
Because he's 6 years old. And ends up in an orphanage.
yeah.
The seeing your parents murdered by Santa Claus.
Well, and right before that, his grandpa.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm gonna get to all of that here at some point.
Okay.
Because I absolutely hated the first 20 minutes of this movie.
Oh, okay.
Because of everything. So everything just lines up perfectly for him to be like, okay, I can see him turning into a serial killer.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
The fact that they went to an insane asylum, brought your 6-year-old to an insane asylum to see Grandpa, who I kind of want to know more about his backstory.
Right. Yeah. Maybe there's 5 of these movies.
Yeah,
so Grandpa might be in one of them.
I also want to know what happened to the Santa that murdered his family.
Yeah.
What happened with that guy? Because
Yeah, I don't know.
he's done within the first 10 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, he robs a liquor store for $30.
Kills the guy. Yeah. Kills the guy.
And then I guess his car breaks down, and so he's carjacking them.
I don't
Or he
think his
just wants
car's
to
even
kill
broken
people.
down. I think he just wants to kill people and
Okay.
steal from them.
All right. Well, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what his plan, ultimate plan was, but he was not a very nice Santa Claus.
No, he was naughty.
He was very naughty. So yeah, it just everything had to work out perfectly.
Yeah.
For him to grow up to be this crazy serial killer.
Yeah.
And it did work out perfectly for him to do that. So I'm not going to say that's a positive,
Okay.
because it's definitely... I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But, so, I like the story. minus, the beginning part of that. I really thought this was kind of an underrated movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's an 80s slasher.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets, tossed down at the bottom of people's
it's kind of
slasher
lumped
list.
into all the slashers that came out at that time.
It is, but I think it's better than a lot of them.
I would say it's better than a lot of them. I wonder, let's say it didn't take place during Christmas. There was no Santa involved. It was just a kid witnessing his parents get killed, growing up, and then, somehow being triggered like he is in this movie to kill. I wonder if it would have more respect. I think maybe the whole Santa aspect of it kind of makes it gimmicky and not that it is. I don't think it is, but to the average viewer, it might be like, "Oh, Killer Santa, that's kind of lame." You're just being silly, just like every other '80s slasher.
But at the same time, not only do his parents have to be murdered by some crazy guy, but what comes before that, though?
Yeah,
the whole you were on the naughty list.
Yeah.
You better run away from Santa.
Yeah.
Those things have to work out perfectly for this to actually work.
Yeah.
And so if you took out the Christmas aspect of it, I don't see it quite playing as well as it did with Santa.
Okay.
Being the trigger for this kid. Seeing your parents get murdered, that's going to be very traumatizing for you and everything. It's just, the whole leading up to it with your grandpa saying that Santa's gonna get you, and then Santa, and he's like, "You better run away when you see Santa," and then right after that, Santa murders your parents.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
At 6 years old, it's
like on the drive back.
Yeah, on the drive back from seeing your crazy grandpa from an insane asylum. Because everyone brings their 6-year-old and their baby to a insane asylum. Yeah. So without the Christmas aspect of it, I don't. It could work.
Yeah,
but
you would definitely have to change some stuff.
Yeah,
But the story itself, I feel like, is deeper than almost any slasher from the 80s.
Yeah,
it has layers to it and it has character development and stuff. So I wonder if the gimmick of Christmas and Santa is what kind of makes it seem you lose some respect for it, or your average viewer is not going to want to watch it because of that.
Yeah. I mean, we only watched it for this podcast. So.
That's what I was thinking. Like, okay, it's a Santa killer, Okay, and it's 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be a little too much for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it... Well, anyways, go ahead. Keep going.
I mean, the acting was okay. It was on par with, the whole slasher 80s type thing. It's not great or even very good. Yeah. But it's passable.
Yeah, passable.
And some of the kill scenes were actually pretty intense. More than I thought that they were going to be.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, wow.
The one scene with the sled where the kid's sledding down. And he just slices his head off like one.
That was he comes naughty. Down, seeing his friend sees him coming down with headless.
He's just like his body, no head.
And his head rolls down next to it. Okay. So, there's some of that 80s cheese in there. Oh, it's a lot of it in there, but lots of nudity. A lot more than I thought that there was going to be for...
Yeah.
That's on par with Friday the 13th kind of thing.
So, was that a positive? Or?
Well, it's just... It's not really a positive or a negative. It's just, an observation. Okay.
We're in almost the positive every scene, section right now.
Almost every scene's which was another trigger for him too.
Yeah, so. So I'll talk about that stuff when it's my turn.
Okay,
continue. Any other positives for you?
No, I like the atmosphere of it. Mm-hmm. The atmosphere was actually, it could be unsettling for certain scenes.
Yeah.
I think that's about it for me.
Okay.
It's an enjoyable movie. So.
Yeah. No, I liked it. I thought it was much better than I thought it was going to be going in. And so, yeah, the psychology of the movie was cool. And we'll review another movie later on, but I thought it was interesting that they used the name Billy for the character.
Oh, yeah. I know where you're going with that.
Where Black Christmas, you kind of have that tie-in. And I'm thinking that they did that on purpose, because it's a Christmas movie. Billy's the killer.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a coincidence. But, you know, I didn't have too much of an issue with the beginning, the opening, and all that stuff. I didn't really think of it as, like, too convenient, but maybe that's why it's such a short movie, because there isn't much build up there.
No.
It just kind of all happens,
just happens.
scene by scene, and then it's like, boom, okay, now you're in an orphanage, and then that kind of...
3 years later. 10 years later.
that kind of... The orphanage stuff is, you know, a little more developed, and then you go to him being 18...
Yeah.
And then that's, you know, a good chunk of the movie. But that first part, yeah, it's kind of fast. So maybe if there was some build up there.
And there, yeah.
I didn't really have an issue with it, though. But I did think it was funny, the grandpa. Because he wouldn't talk to anybody. Like, he was just staring.
Yeah.
And they're, like, trying to talk to him. Dad, da, da, da. And then they, like, leave for a second, and he's sitting there with them. And then he turns his head over to him and starts telling him about Santa. And, like, have you been good all year?
Kind of made me feel like maybe that was in his mind, though. The fact that he didn't talk until the parents left.
You think that it was in the kid's mind?
I think it might have been in the kid's mind. In Billy's minds. I don't know. It could have been like he was faking it, but
it sounds really like something a kid would think of.
Yeah, that's a really weird thing. Even if you're in an insane asylum, that's a really weird thing to tell your 6-year-old grandson. Like, come on, dude, pull yourself together a little bit here,
and then go back to just being
and like catatonic.
Yeah, when they get back.
So I don't know.
I could see a kid thinking that way. You know. I mean, I never had this, but you hear of kids, like, feeling, like, pressure to be good for Santa, you know? And so, maybe that's what it's kind of trying to talk about. This kid had this pressure to be good, and he sees Santa kill his mom and dad, and that was pretty intense. How this guy was, you know... what he was doing to his mom and stuff. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know. It's like, really? Like,
was that necessary? And, you know, but I liked the, you know, all the different things that happened to him then makes sense why he would go on this, like, killing spree. Because he's seeing, you know, he had the whole orphanage piece of his life, which he saw some things that, you know, a kid shouldn't be seeing. Yeah. The mother superior, the way she disciplined him.
Worst character in the entire movie.
And, you know, he had a rough go. And then he's finally out. He's an adult. He's got a job. He's doing good. And he seems
Christmas
cool.
comes around.
And then Christmas comes and they're like, we want you to be Santa for our store. And
all these things have to play out perfectly. Yeah, I don't think he would have snapped if he hadn't put on the Santa suit. Like it was, and it,
So he had the Santa suit on, and then he saw some stuff that triggered him, and then
that's
it's like
snapped.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, anybody who's naughty is gonna get it. So it's cool. I like that. It's a full movie. It's you know, I don't feel like there's any filler. Everything served a purpose all the way up to the end. Yeah. And so I did like that. I was engaged the whole time. The music I thought was good. Very 80s, but very...
it was very 80s.
Very... you know, it had an impact.
A couple Christmas songs on the radio playing that I've never heard before. But it's like, okay. Were these songs created for this movie? You're not getting copyright?
Silent Night, Deadly Night soundtrack.
Yeah.
But, you know, the music was impactful. I feel like it added to the movie. It wasn't just stock feel like it
Yeah.
did add to some of the scenes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall, I thought it was even kind of scary at times.
Yeah.
You know? Scarier than I thought it was going to be. So
There were some moments, yeah.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so now let's talk about the bad stuff.
Naughty.
So you did the naughty stuff.
When he said naughty every time, like, he was about to, like, kill someone, that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
That was cheesy. I was like, really? Okay. Naughty. And then he, like, murders people. Like, okay. Like, how those, like, the babysitter and the boyfriend, when he, like, murdered them, like, how did he know that they were naughty?
Yeah,
Like,
there were
what
some
was-
people that he killed that were not. It wasn't warranted based
Yeah.
on his list. He didn't
Yeah.
check it twice.
Yeah, exactly. He checked it one time. That's it. He didn't check it twice.
Yeah.
That little girl, though, he's like, were you naughty all year? No. And he gives her, like, a switchblade. Like a... Thank you, Santa. That's what I always wanted.
Yeah, so some cheesy stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But my biggest thing is the first 20 minutes. I was just really mad. I was watching this movie for like, what was it, the first 15 minutes maybe of this movie, and I was
Yeah.
like, of course he's gonna kill people when he grows up based on everything that happens.
yeah,
Starts out, we've already talked about it, but he goes to insane asylum, sees his grandpa, says, you've been naughty. You better run when you see Santa.
yeah.
He's coming after you. On the way home, his parents get murdered by Santa. He ends up in an orphanage 3 years later. Gets beat by Mother Superior
Yeah.
because he like made a drawing of what he saw on Christmas.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
of course he's gonna
Right.
draw stuff like that. It's only
Yeah.
been 3 years. This kid's traumatized. He was 6 years old when this happened.
Yeah.
And instead of giving him help,
Yeah.
Mother Superior's like, I'm just going to beat you until
Right.
until you're good again. And
And then they like force him to sit with Santa.
Yeah.
And stuff like.
and he's at that orphanage for 10 years.
yeah. They try to like break him of his
Probably
of
more
his
than that.
fears
'Cause-
and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, of course he's going to snap. So I was like, the first part of that movie, I was mad because
Were you mad like because it was too convenient,
I was
or you were mad at like the characters?
I was mad
or-
at the characters.
Okay. Well, that's an effective movie, though.
Well, yeah,
right?
it is. But it's the characters, and also like it is a convenient
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
for a movie like this.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, well, all of these things are gonna happen to you
Yeah.
when you're 6 all the way to the time you're 18,
Yeah.
and you're gonna snap. Like it's
And they kind of took
You know.
the Halloween Rob Zombie Halloween route.
yeah,
Or I guess Rob Zombie took this
yeah,
route
Rob Zombie. Yeah,
with the whole.
it did feel a
lead
little
up.
Rob Zombie-ish.
Yeah. The whole lead up to the. To the snap.
Yeah, and I was mad at that, at his upbringing in that movie too. It's like, it's convenient. That's
Yeah.
all it is. You had a horrible upbringing. You're you're gonna grow up to be a horrible person, most
Yeah.
likely.
Yeah.
There are people that break that, but if that's all you know,
Yeah.
then that's what you're gonna become, most
Right.
likely.
Right.
So it's a convenient thing, but also I felt really bad for the kid.
Yeah.
Like, you have no choice basically but to become what you're gonna become. And
Yeah.
Mother Superior did not help
No.
anything at all. So in my opinion, she was a worse character than even Billy.
Yeah. You
And-
like kind of root for Billy.
Yeah.
Like you.
He doesn't want to do it. Like,
Yeah.
there's part when he's like, what, 9? And he's
Yeah.
like sitting in the corner, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be bad. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be good.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
Joel, you're so broken up about this.
I am. You gotta feel bad for the guy.
Poor little Billy.
I mean, he does end up killing people, so you can't feel too bad for him, but he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's just something in his brain that just snaps
Yeah.
after a certain point. And Sister Margaret, I think she's my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah, she was trying to help him.
Yeah. And there was a scene towards the end where she actually says what I was thinking. Like, yeah, he was raised in this environment. Like, he's going to... Of course, it makes sense that he would snap.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, thank you. someone figures this out.
Yeah.
It's too late at that point because he's already gone crazy.
Yeah, the damage is done.
Yeah. But really, those are the only things that was negative to me in this movie.
Okay.
So I mean, some of the acting, it's not positive or negative. It's just neutral. It's as good as it has to be for an 80s slasher.
Sure. Yeah.
And just naughty. That was probably, besides the first 15 minutes, that was probably the worst part of the movie. But I like how it's set up, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
Yeah.
Because he gets killed right in front of his brother.
And then the brother,
And he's like, naughty.
Yeah, the brother says naughty at the end. That was corny.
Yeah,
That
it was.
so corny.
It was pretty
that
bad.
that whole piece where he's getting killed, because as he's dying, he's like, you guys are safe now. Santa's not gonna get you. As he's dying.
As he's dying. Well, you were the one killing people, so that's really how you felt. You could have stopped.
And the boy points to like the cop or whatever
That kills him. Naughty. Okay. It makes sense.
It did set up a sequel. It
did.
That's where it's like, okay, this is classic 80s slasher.
Yeah.
That, like, when he turns all the way to the end, it's like, okay, we're watching an 80s slasher.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
With all the corny lines.
Seeing Santa, or quote-unquote Santa, get murdered in front of all of these children,
Yeah.
I can see, like, yeah, they have 5 sequels to this movie.
Yeah.
So I can see each of those kids, like, being tormented because they saw Santa get murdered right in front of their eyes. Just like Billy did when he was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's one of those movies. I haven't seen any of the sequels, so I don't know, but it's one of those movies that they don't need Billy to come back. I really hope he doesn't come back.
Yeah, no.
And just work off of
Yeah.
everyone else turning into Santa Claus and murdering people.
Oh, man. So I would say, while we're laughing about it and stuff, it makes it entertaining because it's so dumb, the end.
Yeah.
But I would say that's a negative, just because the movie is so serious.
It is.
Up till when it's like should be the most serious when he's killing people.
Yeah.
But it's just cheesy because how he says naughty every time, and then at the end, and then it's like, okay, it's fun. Like I don't say I don't like it because of that, but I would say it's a negative.
Yeah.
And then so another reason why I hadn't watched this movie is because I have kids. I have 2 kids. They're 12 and 13, and so they kind of like watching horror movies with me from time to time. So if I'm gonna watch a movie,
Did they watch this one with you?
no,
Okay.
no. But if I'm gonna watch one, I look at like on IMDb, I look at like the parental guide or whatever to see what's in the movie, why it was rated, what it is. And so I saw there was a lot of like sex and nudity in it. So I was like, oh man, like I'd like to watch it. It sounds like it would be kind of funny, Santa killing people. The kids would probably get a kick out of it, but I never watched it because of that.
Yeah.
And so when there's a lot of that in the movies, it's just I feel like it was necessary for this movie because of it was a trigger for him. Mm-hmm. Because of how his mom died, he saw things at the orphanage, then he got punished for it, and so there is that, but it doesn't have to be so graphic.
Yeah.
You can imply certain things without being so graphic about it. Mm-hmm. And so that's a negative for me. I wish horror films would just be a little more, like, not so in your face about it, like more subtle
Yeah.
about sex and nudity. And I think it's the 80s too.
Yeah,
where you
80s
see
was
a
a
lot of
huge
that.
decade for like nudity and stuff
Yeah.
in horror movies. I always found that fascinating though. Like, if it didn't have any nudity or sex and it had like all this gore, it would have been fine. Or is it just okay?
Yeah,
Just
because
like,
that's real.
It's well, so is people. People die every day. People get murdered. Blood is real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
it's real. It's way more real than like it's a movie when people are getting their head cut off, or I feel like you're not as influenced by gore and blood and violence in a movie than you are like sex and nudity in a movie. I feel like kids could be more influenced that way.
okay.
So that's where I'm like, yeah. And then like if I wanted to watch it, and they're like in their rooms or something, like I can't have the volume super high.
Yeah, doing like these sex scenes or something.
So like I have to kind of pick and choose when I'm going to watch a movie like this.
Yeah.
So it just, to me, it's more of a negative just because it's not convenient for me.
Okay.
And it's just not, I don't feel like it's necessary, but it's also just makes it hard for me to find a time to watch it.
Yeah.
So that's where it's going to be a negative. But other than that, I can't really knock it too much.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty solid movie.
It is. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a very underrated, very underappreciated movie.
Yeah.
Don't hear about it that often. Like, we're in horror movie groups on Facebook, so people, especially around the holidays, are going to post stuff like that. But normally, you wouldn't hear anything about Silent Night, Deadly Night. Like,
yeah, I have over the last couple of years, but I had not heard about it till like 2 years ago, maybe.
yeah.
And that's when I started really getting into different horror groups and stuff, and so it just sporadically come up, but yeah, definitely underrated.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, if it had come out maybe 10 years earlier, then it probably would have been talked about more.
Yeah.
But it's because the 80s was like prime slasher decade.
Yeah, so saturated.
Yeah. That some of these movies just fell under the wayside.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this one was one of them, and it was, like we were saying, one of the better of the slasher, of the 80s slasher movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly like it more than Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say it's better than almost any of the Friday the 13th. I'm trying to think. There's like 28 of them, so. But yeah, I can't think of one that I would say is better than this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry,
Freddy
fans
versus
of
Jason.
Sorry, fans of Jason, but Silent Night, Deadly Night is just a better movie all around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's grade it.
I'm gonna give this one an 84.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty high.
It is pretty high for an 80s slasher movie.
Yeah. It was
The year it came out.
it was 84 when it came out. Yep.
Didn't even think about that till just now.
I think 84 is when Nightmare on Elm Street came out.
I think it did. I think it was too.
And so I think of that too. Like, Nightmare on Elm Street is so bad with acting.
Yeah.
The acting is so bad in that.
Yeah.
This acting looks like Oscar nominated film compared to Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And yet, because of Freddy,
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm
It's a
Street
more
is
beloved
just,
movie.
yeah. And so
I think, well, I mean, I think it's because of Freddy,
Yeah.
honestly, is the only reason that Nightmare on Elm Street is as big as it is. Like, you take the other 80s slashers, like, they don't say anything. They don't talk.
Yeah.
And Billy, I mean, with his naughty every time he murders somebody, he really didn't say a whole lot in the entire movie either.
No, he didn't really.
Except for naughty, which I kind of wish he had just not said anything. But, I mean, I think it has a lot to do with like the dialogue of the killer itself.
Yeah.
And so that's, I mean, I think that's really the main reason Freddy or Nightmare on Elm Street is as popular as it is.
Yeah.
The kill scenes are really creative too.
Right.
So,
Right.
but
just comparing the movies, like the quality of
the
acting
first one to
this same year, I'm like, it's interesting to see how one really took off and one didn't.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going 79. 79.
All right.
Yeah, it's good. It's above average.
Yeah, it is.
And
it's almost a B.
Can't really complain too much about it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that was our episode on Silent Night, Deadly Night. You can find us on Facebook at Scare Talk Podcast. We're on Twitter at Scare Talk Pod. And we are all over your podcast platforms to listen. And that's it.
Sleep tight.
Don't let Kris Kringle bite.